Hi, it's Munwara here. As promised, I'm back today with another live show. As you know, I started this about 3 months ago to talk all about community and everything around community leadership. So I have been, over the last few weeks, every fortnight bringing you a different guest. We had two wonderful, guests last week, and before that we had another guest, but it was all about community leadership and what they do within the community. So today I've got the wonderful Sandra Jerome and Laurence Irwin, Laurence is going to join us later, but I thought it would be wonderful to hear their insight into what Starlighter Community Theatre Group do and why they do what they do. I'm going to shortly invite Sandra in. This is a very new thing for some of us. So Sandra's actually not been on the live streaming conversation before. I won't say interview because that makes people nervous. It's not an interview, it's a conversation. Anybody who's watching right now, it'd be really nice if you could give us a hint, send us a comment and let us know that you're watching. And also, if you aren't able to watch now, but I know some of you are really interested to hear the conversation today, you can still catch it afterwards. You can catch it on my profile, or you can catch it on the YouTube channel, which I've shared, and I will carry on afterwards sharing it again. So I'm going to let Sandra come in and say hello. Let's get Sandra in. Hi, Sandra.
Hi.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. It's no different than you and I having a conversation.
Exactly.
In the same building, in fact, maybe in two different rooms.
Very, very true.
So, Sandra, introduce yourself to our audience.
Hi, everyone. I don't know how many people we've got watching, but I'm Sandra Jerome. I'm chair of Starlighters Musical Theatre Company, which is a local community theatre company, and we put on shows to raise money for charity.
Fantastic. Brilliant. And it's going to feel a bit weird, Sandra, because we never know who's watching and how many people's watching. If people make comments, then we will know. If they do not make comments, people will make comments afterwards, so you'll be able to see it on your on the feed afterwards. So my first question to you, Sandra, is before I say that, I have to remind people that you're giving away 2 tickets today. So tell us about the show that's coming up.
So when we went into lockdown, so 18 months ago, we had started to rehearse a show called The Cowshed, written by a local guy. He wrote it for us. And we obviously had to postpone rehearsals in March last year, sadly. And we do want to continue doing that show, but we'll probably do that next year. And we thought we'd come back with just an evening of entertainment, really. Some songs, some sketches, songs and silliness, I call it. And the show is called Post-Pandemic Entertainment, PPE for short. We thought we'd have a play on the initials that everyone will remember throughout the lockdown. So we've been rehearsing since Boris allowed us to start rehearsing. So as with all shows, we could have done with a few more rehearsals, but hey ho, we'll do what we can. And it's this coming weekend, so it's Friday 23rd of July at 7 p.m, and we're doing a matinee performance on Saturday the 24th at 2:30.
And your tickets are worth £10 each. However, you've kindly offered to give away 2 tickets to anybody who can answer a question that you will should we go halfway through this day or this for? Yeah, just so that we have enough people watching or attempting to answer the question. So tell me, I'm just really fascinated because I think running anything within the community and running it for the community, it is not easy and it's quite challenging. So I'm just fascinated to know a bit about the history. So tell us a bit about where Starlighters came from and how.
So Starlighters started off as the Monroe Players, and I'm going back to the 1940s, 1950s, and it was created by two incredibly talented gentlemen, Don Monroe and Anton Copley, and they were very, very good friends. They met just after the war, and they found a mutual love for performing. But they also had a mutual love for raising money for good causes. So they decided to come together and create a theatre company that put on shows to actually raise money for charity and other local good causes. So it could be a registered charity, it could be the local church, it could be the donkey sanctuary in Spain we've raised money for in the past. So Wood Green Animal Shelter. So over the years we've raised, it must run into thousands of pounds for good causes. So they joined forces, and the first show they put on together was the Lisbon Story, and that was in Palmer's Green, in a theatre in Palmer's Green. And their friendship started because Don Monroe was putting on the Lisbon Story, and his leading man at the time got the offer of a job in the West End, performing on the West End stage in something. So of course he had to give up the amateur theatre. So 2 weeks before curtain up, Don was left with a show but no leading man. And one of the cast members, she mentioned that her brother was also a performer, and she introduced them. They became firm friends. Her brother took over the lead role in the Lisbon Story, and that was how the friendship and partnership formed. And that was in, I don't know what year, but late 40s, early 50s, I think. And in 1980 they changed the name to Starlighters, and so for the last 41 years now we have been known as Starlighters Community Theatre Group. So that's the history.
41 years. Sandra, you can't be that old.
No, I'm not.
You can't be. So I've actually got Franzi joining. Franzi, hi. If you can hear, if you're still on, I see your comment. You say that's great. Franzi is also an opera singer, and I heard her perform recently. Yeah, we didn't know each other before we became a little bit more active on LinkedIn, and we met through connection. So it's wonderful, the story that you shared with us, because sometimes we just never know where we might connect with someone. And so tell us, how did you get connected to Starlighters? What was your
So in 1999, 2000, I moved up to London for work, and I had been in a local opera society up in Suffolk, where I was living at the time, and I stopped that to move to London, and I missed performing. So I met someone through a community singing group, and she was a member of Starlighters at the time. She's since left, but she was putting on a show, and I went to watch her in the show and to offer my support. And historically, Don Munro, our chair, who I mentioned before, he would, if you came to see a show and he liked the look of you, he would do his best to try and convince you to come and tread the boards with him, regardless of what talent you had. And I'd already decided I was going to join. So at the end of the show they were in, I watched the show, and at the end I went to say hello, and I said to him, "Oh, you know, I'm Sandra, and I'd really like to join Starlighters." And he started to try and convince me to join, and I said, "No, I've already said I'd like to join." And he carried on for about 5 minutes trying to convince me, and I said, "No, you don't have to convince me. I'm already sold." I'm in. I'll be there on Thursday at the next rehearsal. And he said, "What, you actually want to join off your own back?" And he was quite surprised, bless him. And that was 21 years ago. And Don and Tony have now sadly passed away. We lost Tony in 2010, and we lost Don in 2016, and he's kind of like, you know, parting words to me were, if you can keep the group going, please do so. And that's what I've attempted to do, really, with the same ethos that we raise money for charity and good causes. So we do everything on a shoestring. It literally is a shoestring. You know, we're not a wealthy amateur group, because all of the money goes back into supporting local charity. So I've been, like, in answer to your question, I've been a member for 21 years, starting out as a performer, and then I started getting more involved in, you know, things like costumes and then set design and musical direction. Not that I'm very good at that, but choreography, I'm not very good at that either. And now I'm chair, so it's not my fault these days.
So Laurence is here. He's waiting in the guest suite. So Laurence, I can see you. I just thought I'll let you squirm a little bit before I let you in. Hi. We'll let Laurence in. So, you know, for actually listening, and she says the love of support of local charities. So that's her comment. It's just so interesting that you've been part of it for 21 years. And what was something that you, like, maybe cautiously, then you ended up being in the driving seat for how many years now, Sandra? How many years?
Properly since Don died in 2016. But before that, you know, Don was becoming more and more frail. He still wanted to perform, but he couldn't run the group. He couldn't chair it. So I was doing, I mean, the group, I mean, he was still the named chair, but I was doing a lot to support him, along with a lady called Kath, who has sadly since lost the group, but left the group, not lost it, left the group. But she and I kind of like managed the group until she left a couple of years ago. So I've taken a kind of leading role probably for the last, I don't know, 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, that's quite incredible that you've still kept it going for so long, when we know that you also have a full-time job and other things that you do. But I'm going to let Laurence in, let him introduce himself. Laurence, just one moment and you'll be in. Let's see. There you are. Hi.
Oh, there we go. Hello. Oh, there we
Hello.
go.
Hello.
I'm not used to doing this on the phone, so I'm trying to get myself... Oh, there we are. That's better. There.
Brilliant.
Hello.
You look like you're in a tent, Laurence.
No, actually, I'm indoors, but I'm trying to get myself, because I'm moving the phone and there we go. I'll get there in the end. You can tell I do this a lot, can't you? There we go.
Well, Laurence, you're live and people are watching you. I can see that at least one person is live and watching. So just giving you a bit of a hint, you know, like Just be
Yeah.
cautious.
Let's
What
go
you say.
together.
Careful what you say, in other words, Laurence.
Yeah, don't swear. Yeah, I know. I got that. Oh dear.
So, Laurence, introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself. What do you do, and what's your role in Starlighters?
Well, my name's Laurence Irwin. I'm a long-standing member, probably second or third longest after John? I think John's the longest.
Yeah.
Then it's you, Sandra, and then myself.
Mhm.
I joined the show after Sandra. Crikey, what would that have been? 2001, 2000, something maybe? Something like that.
2000, I think.
Very long time ago.
No
I
way.
suppose what
You
was
were
very...
a baby.
I was, yes. I was 19 or 20, something like that, yeah. And very young and inexperienced with it. Not the person I am today at all. And I joined off the back of the Walthamstow Amateur Cine Video Club. They were a small, I think they still are a group that exist in Walthamstow and had existed since 1949. I was chairman there for a year, and we used to come along and film the Starlighter shows. And that's how I met or got introduced to the Starlighters, and then decided that I'd rather be the stage side of the camera rather than behind the camera. But was quite an introverted person then. So Starlighters has helped brought me out of myself and made me a much happier person, and has given me a great insight into different people of different walks of life, if you like. An experience that you would probably never get anywhere else. Volunteers and people that join groups are very different to people that go to work. Very, very different. So there we go. Not too much on from that, really.
Completely agree with you there about volunteering. And but like what Sandra said earlier about how long it's been going, it would have been like a roller coaster ride the last 20 years. So whoever wants to go first, what do you think would you share? Because anyone who listens to your conversation would find this really inspiring to know some of the challenges you had over the years and what got you through it. So share with us one of your many challenges during Starlighters times.
I think the biggest thing that joining a group such as Starlighters, and particularly a group where I can't honestly say that there's anything that you could possibly compare to the situation or the scenario where you're all given effectively like a small magazine. Everyone's got to learn a set number of pages, and then within 8 to 10 weeks they've got to stand up in front of everybody and recite it all word perfect and know it. And it's not just you, it's the person next to you, the person next to them, the person that's behind them that makes sure that everybody in the audience can hear you, the people that light the stage so that they can see you. And it all has to happen, and it all has to come to one point at exactly the same time. And apart from a military operation, I don't think there's quite anything like it. And what it teaches you is that no matter what you think, and when you think and how you think you might understand something or know someone or know people, you're always surprised, because always they come through. And it'd be the last person you'd expect it to be. You'd meet people in walks of life and you think, well, yeah, I couldn't rely on them. Yet you'd meet someone who you'd think, well, I definitely couldn't rely on them when you're in a drama group. And they always come through. So you learn a lot about how the small things that you really worry about in life really aren't that important, because you get, I don't really know how I'm trying to put this, but you get to a point where things happen. When things need to happen, they happen, I think. I don't really quite know. I know what I'm trying to say, but I don't think I quite have the words for it. If you understand.
Laurence, you want to be careful. You want to be careful. You're coming across as a right philosopher. That's dangerous.
apologies.
You're going to confuse the hell out of people, but I get your point. The thing is, we can worry about what is a small problem may seem like the end of the world and a big problem, but once you get through it, you realize, what, we could have got through it. And I know that's very much
absolutely. That's it. You can get through things, and you come across with issues and problems that you hit right before a show or during the course of a show, or and people have real problems in their lives, and they all come together at the end, and they all pull their weight, and they all make it happen, and they all make it work. And it's really inspiring to see that and to be part of that. There's nothing quite like the feeling that you would get on a show when it in any show, because they all come together. They always do. People find it within themselves, and you find it within, and it's not unlike anything else, because you could do. I mean, I work as an electrician, and you can say, well, I'll be finished on Wednesday, but you might have to come back for a couple of days to do a few small things. But you can't do that when you're in a drama group. You all have to have that right there at the right time, in the right way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. And I would say, being a bigger philosopher than you are in some ways, even the audience has a big role to play, because in some ways you also don't want to let the audience down.
Absolutely not. No. That will put the biggest fear of God, I would say, is the best way to describe that. You get on that stage and you're like, yeah, I can't muck this up. I've really got, because the only person that looks silly is you. So it makes you finish things. If you're not a good finisher, join a drama group, and it will improve you.
It's true. Yeah.
Will improve you.
Don, our founder and chair, always used to say, you're only as good as your last show.
Absolutely.
So he was always frantic, telling us off for larking about in rehearsals, telling us off for laughing too much when we shouldn't be laughing too much, telling us off for being on our phones too much, telling us off for not learning our lines, telling us off for not learning our lyrics to our songs. And, back when Laurence and I started, we did used to spend a lot of time mucking about, didn't we, Laurence? And I think it's
not that different now, but
it's not that different. But, I think it's only now that Laurence and I are running the group that we realise that the frustrations that Don had, when people turn up and they've clearly not looked at their script from last week, they've, clearly not learned any more. It's really frustrating. And I know our music director, Kelly, she gets frustrated when people haven't been looking at their songs from one week to the next, and we're all, to blame to a certain extent. But, I do see now why Don used to get so frustrated with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Laurence, has Sandra turned into Don now?
No, I don't think that Don was a one of a kind. There was I've not met anybody like Don, and I don't think I ever will again. And I'm very, very privileged to have known him. I think it was a unique man. You don't realise the stress that he used to get into over shows that didn't, when things weren't going right. To understand that point and get you to do something that you were thinking, it's not that important. And then when you're in the chair and you think, he was actually really, really good, because we do things that we just expect to happen, but they don't happen because nobody's pushed the button. Nobody said, oh, you need to do that, or you need to do this. That coming together of everything is and he, in his day, he was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
I've noticed, like, I went to one of your previous shows, Laurence. I noticed there's a real nurture in you, and I say this because I noticed that when you had younger, and Sandra as well, when you had younger performers, I noticed how you paid more attention to how the performers were feeling, and that level of nurturing is so important, an important part of teamwork, But it can't be easy, because you are probably also feeling the stress of, oh my gosh, we've got like 60 people, 100 people sitting in the audience. I haven't got time to be puffing around.
No,
you know.
what happens, what really just happens is you get so concerned and so involved in making sure that everybody else is okay, that when it comes to you, you kind of, your part on the stage, your part in the show, your song is kind of, okay, I'm just going to sing this song, then I'll be back to help you out. And your thing becomes, your part doesn't become nothing, but it becomes a much smaller part of what the actual group was. So when we started, we were members of the group. So we went away with our script. We came back the next week and we were a bit better and a bit better or a bit worse, or we didn't look at it, or it changed or whatever you. And that was all it was. But now it's not just us. So now not only do we have to learn ours, we have to learn what the other people do and remember, because knowing that they might not, and you can't berate someone, really. You can tell them, you say, look, you really should have looked at your script, it's not good enough. But they've got to be confident, because if they're not confident, then it doesn't work for them. They'll get up in front of the people on the night, or in the audience on the night, and it would be awful for them and awful for you, because it's awful for them. You know, sitting with people while they're, you know, backstage and just saying, look, go out there, you're really, really good. You're going to be really good. Everyone's going to absolutely love what you do, and trying to keep that point all the time, you know. And that's what you do.
I mean,
you kind of almost lose your identity a bit, but the feeling that you get when you watch, it's almost like your family come together and do what they do, and I don't think you realise you're part of it, but it makes you feel really good that it's happened and worked. You know, many times come off stage and giving someone a big hug.
I have to, I have to agree with you. Sorry, Laurence, that the family bit, I want to capture it, because many of us don't realize, you know, especially in the world of volunteering, it's a big motivator when you feel a part of something and you feel included, and not excluded because you're not perfect in some way, or you don't meet the society's traditional standard of leadership or standard of, I'm gonna, Sandra knows I'm coming to her, but I'm going to ask Sandra. It's really daunting, and I have to say it first, because I know how hard it is when you don't know whether people want you to be in a leadership role, whether people will accept you in a leadership role, whether they will find you overbearing sometimes, whether they'll listen to you and respect where you're coming from. So how do you, how did you find the challenge when you first stepped into that role, Sandra?
It's difficult, really, because I kind of like developed into it over time. You know, I didn't just suddenly step into the role because we lost Don. I was helping for so many years before, so it was kind of like a natural progression. I think people expected me to step into that role, you know, and all of our members have been around a long time, and they're exceptionally loyal. And good friends, and we are like a family, which is really lovely. So I think, you know, everyone expected me to step into the role. So I don't think there was any difficulty. It was just no different, really. And you know, since I have been in the role of chair, with Laurence's help and with our musical director Kelly, we've kind of tried to change the approach a little bit, you know, bring it a bit more up to date, but still keeping the old-fashioned values of Starlighters, that we are a community group and we raise money for charity, and we embrace volunteers. So, you know, we're one of the...
Anybody can come. Anybody can join.
That's right. That's exactly right. We're one of the few. In fact, I think we're the only amateur theatre group that I know of that doesn't audition people. So if we're putting on a show, we don't expect people to audition, because that's really stressful for people, disappointing if you don't get the part you want. So, you know, we talk to people about you know, what involvement they want in a particular show, and you know, we sort of choose roles for people as a team, really.
It's a smoother approach, isn't it? It's a much smoother approach for people.
Yeah, exactly. So you know, in answer to your question, it wasn't, you know, it was just like a transition into the chair of role, and it was, I suppose, an expectation, really. You know, it was someone had to do it, or the group would close down.
I was going to ask that question, but it was an expectation on everyone's part, and in a way, maybe subtly Don coached you or got you ready for that role. Yeah. But if you had said no, I don't want to do it, what would have happened? You know,
would have fallen to Laurence.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. It's a difficult thing, isn't it? It ultimately, when unless you're a member, and if you're a member, then you're a bit more. But if you're actually involved in the running of the group, there is something, I'm sure Sandra will say every week, there's something that has to be done to ensure and enable the right smooth running of the group, to make sure that things happen as they should, and to make sure things are ready. It's not just what you would see on the surface. You know, people, and I'm sure that is with a lot of things of this nature. You know, you'd go into I'm sure if you'd come to the community hub and you met Sandra and you wanted to hire the hall, then all you would see was Sandra and hiring the hall. You wouldn't see necessarily the insurances that go on, the cleaning, the preparation, the making sure that everything's right to meet people's needs, all those sorts of things. It's quite a heavy job. And of course, as time progresses and we become a lot more electronic, if you like, there's a lot more to do. Naturally, it becomes a lot more to do, such as advertising, getting ourselves online, getting ourselves involved in other groups, trying to keep other things going as well, and all that sort of stuff was something that never happened before. You know, so it's a hard job. It's not a job that I would envy in the slightest, and I'm so relieved that Sandra does it.
It's just like I wave my magic wand and it just happens.
Yes, it is almost like that would be the best way to describe it.
Well, they say, you know, going back to the title of the chair of Starlighters Theatre Group, you know, or any community volunteer-led organization, they say it's lonely at the top. What helps you to continue? Because there are times when you will want to just give up and, you know, throw in the towel because it's too much. Because like you say, Laurence, as things grow, as an organization or a company grows or the need grows, you have to change with that. You have to change infrastructure. You have to bring in more capacity, go digital or whatever. So what is it that helps you so that you don't feel lonely at the top?
It's the support of everyone, really. It's, you know, I don't feel lonely at all because I've got Laurence I can turn to. I've got Kelly, who I mentioned, that I can turn to. And we've got the support of the community hub, the charity that we raise money for. You know, never have we been in a venue raising money for that venue where the venue have supported us 150%. You know,
by far the best place.
Absolutely, by without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah, so thank you, Mawara.
Don't be biased now, will you?
Not a bit.
I couldn't. To imagine what we've recently been through, what with the lockdowns and the pandemics and the ill health of people, that we probably. Well, I wouldn't like to say that we wouldn't be here, but I don't think we'd be in the position that we are in now. We definitely wouldn't be putting on a show next week if that wasn't, if that was the case. So yeah, it's kind of a marriage of two halves, if you like, that have come together to make something I feel quite special, and I think it will get better as well. I think as time grows on, it will get better. I hope that people want to get out and want to be more part of something. you know, because we've been looking at each other, and people have been helping out each other during this time. And I hope that maybe now people can get out, they want to do something else. So it's up for new members, you know, that kind of thing.
Mm.
I mean, I just think of the show and I think it gives hope, because
Yes.
the community has gone through so much over the last, well, it's nearly 18 months, isn't it? And it feels never ending. But I think most of us are now putting our hands up and saying, this is the real, you know, this is the normal now. And we have to prepare. So it gives people hope to see that actually we're putting on something. Yes, you're going to be mindful, obviously. Is there any concerns? Are there things that you worry about, or?
Oh, I've got an awful fear. I worry that I'm going to be telling people, right, I want you to sing this, I want you to say these lines, and I want you to do it in this way. And somebody's going to come along who's actually going to know what they're doing and saying, what the hell are you doing? That's wrong. That's my biggest fear. Someone comes along who actually knows what they're doing. I kind of feel that I'm kind of just cresting the wave all the time, and I think, well, I'm still here, not gone into the pit yet.
I had this conversation with someone yesterday that what you're thinking might be completely the opposite to what everyone else is thinking. They're thinking, Laurence knows this inside out, perfect, no concerns. He doesn't look nervous. And I've seen both of you in action, and I have to say, I'm probably one of Sandra's biggest fans. But, and that's not just because of what she does, but I do think she has the most amazing voice. And Laurence, you're not too bad either, but Sandra's I think I'm a bigger fan of Sandra.
Oh, absolutely.
But you know, and I think Kelly is amazing. She has the most amazing voice as well. And so you do have that talent. But it takes more than talent, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Grit.
Grit, determination, organisation skills. It's not easy. I think that and I think the hardest thing is, you know, running the group, but also being a performer as well, as Laurence was alluding to earlier. That's really tough. Yeah, really tough.
Yeah. If you had a choice, would you not perform while you are organising things, Sandra? Because it does. I've seen you perform, and I've seen you when you're not performing, and it's stressful.
I would like for some younger people to come in, particularly some younger men, to come in and kind of take over from where I am. And I would happily step back, take a smaller role or no role, and be involved more in the running of the show, or just do a token part. I think that would be what I would like. I really enjoy the performance, but I would love to give my space up to somebody else who wanted to do it. I would dearly love that to happen. That would be, if I could have and I'm not that old, but I just think that I had so much fun. When I came in, I was the young guy. I got all the lead roles, and it was great fun. And now I'm not the young guy, but I'm still getting all the young guy bits, and it's kind of like, you know, 43. I'm not, as I say, I'm not old, but it's not.
But you are still the youngest, though, Laurence, aren't you?
Yeah, I know, and I would love it dearly if somebody came along, or two or three come along, that we could say, right, yeah, here we go, off you go, you go and do that now, and I'll tell you what to do.
Well, I think, you know, Laurence, you could probably coach people, mentor younger people, perhaps like once things a little bit more normalized, Starlighters could team up with some of the local colleges, like the creative education, because they have like students. Because I maybe a lot of young people at that age, you know, the 18, 19, 20-year-olds, don't realize the power of and the benefits of volunteering. And you started really young, so you're a really good role model for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I always did. As I was younger, I always did something. I was either in the Scouts, or I was in this club, or I was in that club, or I was in an after-church club or an after-school club. I was always doing something. So it was a natural progression to join Starlighters, just because we do things. You know, people do things. But I don't. Yeah, I think, yes, there's so much more. You'd meet people that you would never otherwise talk to. You see things in people that you would never expect to see. There's just so much more. I don't know. There's so much more in it than you would think. There is so much more in it than you think. More you can't describe. You can't describe what the feeling would be if you came along. You've never done anything like this before. You joined the group. You had a part in a show. Maybe 5 or 6 lines. You went on stage and you said those lines, and you did it. And there's and the power, feeling of power and confidence and self-worth that you get from that, you can't begin to describe to anybody. It's almost like someone's turned you on, and then you can't describe it. You really can't describe it. It's such an amazing feeling. You know.
In the past, Laurence and I have described it as therapy.
Yes.
Fantastic. I love that.
I love that. It's a form of therapy, because everyone you could walk through the door feeling down, tired, whatever, and it is like a switch at the back of your head. You flick that switch, and suddenly you become a different person.
Yeah, I can have some of the worst days of my life. And I've gone and I've really not wanted to come to rehearsal, and I've come, and it's cheered me up for the rest of the week. Because you don't realise, but you've joined because it's something you want to do. And when sometimes you forget that you like certain things. You know, on those nights out, I've got to meet these people this evening, but I'm really tired. I don't think I'll go. But you know, if you do go, you'll actually really enjoy yourself. You know, you get caught up, don't you? In your own self at times.
This is why a lot of people won't consider working in the voluntary sector, but they would consider volunteering in it. They'd rather work in the corporate sector or the not-for-profit private sector even. But like some of us choose to work in it. So Sandra, what's the similarity? Because you have a corporate background. What's the similarity between just the work that you do or the energy that you put into Starlighters and the work that you did in the corporate world? Where do you see similarities between the two? I know you want 2 free tickets from me for that answer.
I suppose, in the corporate world, it was very busy, very stressful. You developed a hell of a lot of skills, a real dichotomy of skills that you develop working in the corporate world. And all of those skills have come to bear in running a community theatre group. And I think without that corporate experience, I would struggle actually running Starlighters. So I think that's the similarity, that the skill set is pretty much the same, really. And it can be stressful as well at times, especially when you're getting close to a show and you've not learnt your lines or you've not learnt your songs.
It is your skill set does work very well. Does complement the group very well.
Yeah, I'm very lucky that I've done so many different jobs over the years that, all of those skills, put them all together in one big pot, and they serve me well. I'm very lucky.
Brilliant. I mean, and that's the point I always try and make. Like, there's not enough people in the community world, in the voluntary world, that are leading, because most people don't realize that they either can, or when they do realize they can, they don't have the courage. And so the skills are so much transferable. It doesn't matter what background you come from. It's all right, Laurence. You know, this is the new normal now, so it's I can hear a little bit the background noise, but that's fine. Sandra, you were going to ask us a question. You were going to ask a question for 2 free tickets.
For 2 free tickets. So very simply, what is the name of our chairman that talking about quite a lot that be in 2060?
Okay, the first person who will be able to answer Sandra's question, who was the Starlighters previous chair who passed away, that we've been talking about a lot in today's episode. If you can answer the question, the first person with the answer to that question will get 2 free tickets to the show on
Friday, this coming Friday, the 23rd at 7 p.m. at Waltham Forest Community Hub.
Brilliant. If anyone wants to reach you, either of you, via Starlighters, how do they reach you?
Via our Starlighters email, which is on our website. And you're going to ask me the website, aren't you? And I'm going to have to Google it. I don't remember it off the top of my head.
I can tell you because I have it in front of me.
Okay.
Can you read it?
Go on. Yeah, you go. Go for it.
www.starlighterstheatre.wix.com. Is that right?
That's it.
Yep. So anybody who wants to know more about Starlighters, they're a wonderful community initiative based in Waltham Forest. They've been going for many years now, entertaining the general public, but with a special interest in entertaining people that find it very hard to get to the theatre, which is, I think, for me, the most amazing thing about this initiative, because they're based, or the show is going to take place in an area which is surrounded by care homes and sheltered housing, and they're offering, you have 100 tickets for pensioners for free or something. Sandra, do you want to explain?
We do. So we got a little bit of funding from the local council, which is just amazing. And what that has enabled us to do is offer free tickets to senior citizens in Waltham Forest. So our Saturday matinee is now pretty much full, and the Friday evening performance is starting to get there. So we do still have some tickets left for Friday. But yeah, it's great to be able to offer a freebie to our seniors, and they're all chomping at the bit to leave their houses after lockdown. Bless them. But I just want to reassure people that although restrictions are being lifted on Monday, we have, as a theatre group, decided to maintain social distancing, wearing of masks, sanitising on entry, checking temperatures. We're going to continue those steps because our audience, although they will have all had their jabs, they're still vulnerable. And I don't want anyone walking into our venue feeling uncomfortable. They need to feel safe and enjoy their trip out, because this is going to be the first event of this kind that they'd have been to in 18 months. So they need to feel safe and comfortable.
Absolutely.
Fabulous. Brilliant. Well, we are over by about 4 minutes, and that's your fault. I'm not, I'm accused of the person who talks a lot, but today you beat me to it.
My fault. That's the first, Manwara.
May it be the first of many more. So I wish you well. Have a wonderful Sunday evening, and I'm going to end. Thank you to everybody else who's watching, and anyone who I know wanted to watch and hasn't been able to watch. Please do have a look at the link on the website, the YouTube channel, and it's still on my profile. So you can just go onto my profile and find it and attempt to answer Sandra's question. In order to answer her question, you're going to have to watch the whole show. So, and please do comment, because we love feedback, don't we, Laurence and Sandra?
Absolutely.
We love feedback. So do give us feedback. And both of you, all the best for the show on Friday and Saturday.
Thank you, Monwara.
Thank you. Have a wonderful evening.
For supporting us.
Thank
Thank you for all your support, Monwara.
Yeah, you're a big part of the Starlighters. I don't know if you know that, but you are a big part.
You are an honorary Starlighter.
And mean a lot
Look
to
at
us.
my scarf. Look at my scarf. I'm a Starlighter through and through.
Yes.
Anyway, lovely. Have a wonderful evening. Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.